Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and it's so pleasure to welcome you all for a grand event which is happening virtually. I This is a quite memorable day for me because I'm in the live location. Unlike you people are in your places, I'm working today, and I welcome you all for this grand evening. And thank you so much for joining us on live, and thank you so much for giving your time. Thank you so much for our chief guest for joining us from from your place. Thank you for your time. Thank you so much, sir. Now I call upon Padma Vibhushan, Dr. G. Malvan Nair. Sir, how are you?
Good. Thank you.
Sir, before we start off this event, I really want to ask you this question. 25 successful missions, and now you're enjoying your retirement period. How it feels like, sir?
Well, I think the scientists never retire, so we keep on doing the work. And now my hobby is to see that whatever I have learned, I pass on to the next generation. Whenever I get an occasion to go to the schools or colleges, I just interact with the students and so on. But this COVID time, I think the things have become difficult. But still, the virtual interaction is very much on. I really enjoy that. Thank you.
Right. So thank you so much for your time for joining us, and it's a great heart to be part of this event, sir. And I think it's a time we should launch our Infinity Learning, the virtual school. I kindly request, sir, can you please launch our school, sir?
Introducing Infinity Learning, the virtual school. Experience the joy of learning right from your homes. What is Infinity Learning? Infinity Learning is the world's first virtual school that educates students with a blend of virtual classroom sessions and offline activity resources. We are focused on empowering high quality and personalized learning. We make the most of technology to support inspired teaching and interactive curriculum so children can learn in the ways that delight them. What makes us different? We have introduced collaborative learning methods, innovative curriculum to make the kids pursue joy of every moment. We make the kids to learn at their pace. The Infinity Learning is led by a visionary team of experts from different domains like academics, human resource, marketing, and technology. Why Infinity Learning? Smart learning, best academic, qualified teachers, playtime, flexible schedule. Want to know more about our virtual school and our kindergarten programs? Visit our website www.infinitylearning.co or write at info@infinitylearning.co or call us. We will be happy to hear from you.
Thank you, Mr. Mohan and Kaushik, and other participants who are there. And a very good evening to all of you. It's indeed my pleasure to be associated with this new venture when it is going to have its launch today, the auspicious day on which you are going to really initiate the program in a formal manner. I know that organizing such a course is not a simple joke. You have to do a lot of legwork, and I can see that everything is arranged very meticulously. That shows that professionalism, what you have brought into the system, and I'm sure this will continue for the remaining days also. The You have put that Infinity Learning School. I will say that school learning infinity, because the learning never stops. No, it's a continuing process, and the children start from very early age. When they are at home, they will look around their parents and friends and so on, and they pick up whatever they can at that time. Then, of course, we have got a conventional schooling system now, where people are. I mean, I'm not a advocate of that. The children are locked into the kindergarten, then to the primary school, then the middle school, and so on. This is a tight jacketing now. This is not really good, and perhaps it is really does not encourage the innovation or creativity in the children. So a change is required. We have been talking about such changes for several years, and several commissions at the national level have come forward, they submitted reports and so on. but still we are not out of the clutches of the British regime. You may recall, the Gurukula system, what we had in the ancient days, that was super. The entire world appreciated that. Even students from foreign countries used to come here, stay with the Guru, and then learn whatever possible from maybe a few Gurujis on different topics, and then go as veterans to their countries. Now, British people, they wanted to kill the old culture and activities in India, and they have killed this what you call Gurukula system, and then try to introduce a British way of teaching. And there, the intention was very clear. They wanted to have people with knowledge of English, typewriting if possible, and who can be used for tax collection and administration in our country. A few of them, exception of them, will come to the top service, public service, and so on. But the whole thing is very narrow-minded. The people were trained in English and history and philosophy and things like that. And then, of course, in the engineering subjects also, I'm sad to say that at that time they are interested only in building railways, providing telegraph or telephony, and the subjects taught were only in that line. So practically there was no innovation which was taking place. But we can see that there was an explosion of knowledge after we got independence. Nehruji has taken really a lead, and he has set up a large number of institutions of higher learning in the country. The IITs is his creation. The research centers like Baba Atomic Research Center, the Space Research Organization, all came out of his dreams. And today we are happy that we are able to compete with the global market in many of these areas. But the sad fact remains, even today, that time, they wanted English-speaking people for administering the country. But today, the English knowing as well as the computer savvy people, the global community wants for providing the services to the banks, commercial institutions, and so on. And it's unfortunate that India has not made this opportunity. Our boys are extremely good in their logic, in their mathematics, in writing programs, and so on. But so far, I have not seen a creative program outside some of the departments like space or atomic energy or defense. Outside, I have not seen a unique program which we can claim as Indian. So that shows that even if we are capable, we are not exploit the capability. So in that context only, the government of India has set up this education commission. Dr. Kasur Rangan was chairing that. And recently, the national education policy has been declared. In that, it's very clear that education is a fundamental right and the legal provisions are being made. But at the same time, to realize that dream, we had to go a long way. Well, I think it is very happy that they have said that the burden of textbook, etc., in the lower class is reduced. The children are allowed to go out, observe things, analyze, and bring out their own ideas by power of expression. Mainly the cognitive power as well as the language skills, the communication skills are given prominence in the initial years. Afterwards, depending on the aptitude, a child is being directed to follow a particular field or other. So that is something what is needed. There is no point in putting everybody through the mill like a manufacturing machine and then bringing out a product which finally is useless. I stress the word useless because today we are finding hardly 20% of them get some sort of an employment, but others are all left out. So we have a large population of educated youth in the country whom we cannot use productively for our nation building and other causes. So our new system has to cater to such requirements. Certainly, it's a Korean task. Several people had to work. But unfortunately, this COVID pandemic has come as a big blow to all of us. Totally unexpected situation. And well, it's happy to note that we have risen to the occasion. The technology which is there, the computers, connectivity, and the internet, and all this put together, this tool has been fully exploited by all. Especially in Kerala, I can say that there's 100% coverage for the virtual classrooms, and it is going on well. Certainly, there's a very powerful means of substituting this education, but it doesn't really fill all the needs. The primary need of a child is to get into the society, learn social habits. That opportunity is not there in a virtual education system. So how are you going to do this? Perhaps people like you will have to address this issue, how you are going to provide an opportunity for children not only to watch the screen, but also to get out and see what the real world is, what are the problems there, and how as a human being, as a social, how the social behavior has to be molded and things like that. That is not being addressed in the virtual classrooms today. But perhaps maybe it will evolve because it's a need of the hour and it has to come in. At the same time, there's a danger of this is children at a very age is exposed to these smart devices. They do a lot of good, at the same time, a lot of harm also. A lot of unwanted information is floating in that. And I have seen many children, they just log on to the classroom and then either chat with their friends or go to some website looking at some entertainment and so on. I don't think we have a lock for those things. So here only guidance is required. Initially itself, children should be motivated. They should be put in such a way that classes are attractive. I've seen some classrooms, it is just like newsreader. They have some screen in front and they just read out that. It doesn't convey. But on the other side, there are some teachers who virtually perform like a drama artist, and that attracts children.
Yes.
And again, the span of attention is not more than 15 minutes. You cannot give a 1 hour lecture to a school boy or school girl. It has to be capsuled in such a way. And at the end of the capsule, there has to be an interaction by which you can gauge how much has gone into their head. And all stress has to be how this knowledge will be of practical use. See, I know that in my days itself, the first time they have introduced high level of mathematics in the high school. We were taught calculus, trigonometry, and all those things. We were just wondering what it is for. So nobody concentrated on that. And especially if you ask for some people who have opted for law and other things, where is a question of using a differential equation there? So like that, the questions arise. So it has to be tuned to the particular field in which we are targeting, how to upgrade. And today the children are very, very bright and talented. So we have to tap their potential, feed them the right material, and tune them in the right direction to be good citizens of the globe. So this is where the challenge lies, and I'm sure this Infinity School will definitely take a big leap on this area and succeed in your venture. With these few words, I'm happy to launch this venture and inaugurate the first session of the school. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for all your kind words, and especially what all the inputs you have given us. We will definitely take it as a consideration and we will surely work. And the most important point is the students should get the hands-on experience with the society, and they shouldn't be confined with the digital screens, whatever we provide, or the mobile phones. We'll make sure our students go out of the society and get an experience of it, and that will be a part of our curriculum, sir. Thank you so much for all the inputs you have given us. And thank you so much once again for pointing out how have been our education and what are the changes are going to come in future. And definitely we will incorporate all the possible changes for the upliftment of the society as well. And before I move on to the next thing, I really want to ask you this. In this 25 missions, successful missions, I'm sure then and there you would have seen so many failures. Without a failure, there is no success. But in these recent times, not that everyone, but most of them, they can't handle the failure, the current generation. Either it can be a school kid or a college going person, or it can be an adult person. What do you think so, sir? Is it can be any change can come into it?
Uh, well, I think I was fortunate to have joined the Indian Space Program. That's an organization which is nurtured. Of course, it has been initiated by Dr. Vikram Sarabhai and Professor Satish Dhawan, Professor Yor Rao, Dr. Kalam. Such people were the leaders who guided us. So this kind of philosophy, how to really turn a failure to a success, that we learn from them. To cite an example, I was working with Dr. Kalam on the first satellite launch vehicle SLV-3. About 10 years, about a few thousand engineers and technicians and everything, they worked day and night to realize the system. And finally, when we launched, it failed. So naturally, it just put us off terribly, and we didn't know what to do and things like that. But surprisingly, then Chairman Professor Satish Dhawan, he stood in the front. He addressed the nation as well as the press, saying that yes, we have failed. I take the total responsibility for the failure, and we will come back soon. And then, yes, then he really were with us for a long time, tried to analyze the data and pinpoint the reason for failure and gain to see what needs to be done so that such failures won't repeat in future. Net result is that within a year we were able to make a successful launch. At that time, instead of himself going to the nation, he put Dr. Kalam, who was a project director and a friend, and said that you take the credit and talk to the people. Yes, he did, and that message is the leader takes the blunt of the failure, whereas the credit is given to of the success is given to the working people. So this we learned in the early days itself. Yes, I think this is the first failure we encountered. That's a big lesson. But subsequently, my first PSLV launch also has flopped. Every subsystem, huge rockets, control system, guidance system, avionics, everything worked. But still, it ended up in the Bay of Bengal. Really heartbreaking moment, and we took a few days to recover. Of course, Dr. Kalam and others rushed to the spot. We were all discussing, churning through the data and other things. And finally, we pinpointed the reason why it happened. This was in the mid 90s, and the onboard computers were just coming into the country. Rather, it has not come into the country. We made a computer which can be flown in a rocket, and that was doing the flight management function. There was a small software glitch, and that has caused the entire mission to lose. So, but after that, what we did was we introduced a very strict protocol for quality control of the software, configuration control, validation methods, and hardware and loop simulation, and so on. All these were innovated. The net result is subsequently we didn't have to turn back. All the 50 launches, out of that one was a failure, of course, but all others were grand success. Same technology was adopted for the GSLV and so on. So you learn from failure and then see that how it can be used for ensuring success in future. So that is the philosophy we have used to it. And yes, for a short period you will be upset, but that should not carry your life. You should look forward to the future.
Thank you, sir, for explaining us in a crystal clear way. But I'm not going to leave you with this one question. I have a couple of other things to ask you. So, few suggestions would you like to give to the current generation parents and the upcoming parents, sir?
Well, I think it's difficult for me to advise because there's a generation gap. The aspirations of the present generation and what the ambience in which we grew up, etc., is different. But looking at the world as it is, as I mentioned in my introductory talk, the putting all children through a stereotype course is something which has to be avoided. Before birth itself, some people book their seat in the engineering college or a medical college, and children are simply forced whether they like it or not. This should not happen. Maybe in the primary school and middle school, their talents has to be assessed. Teachers have to play a major role in that. Their aptitude, their efficiency in particular things. Some may be too good in arts, some may be in sports, some may be in the type of literary activities, some may be in mathematics and science and so on. So depending on that, you should groom them in the particular line. So that's the first thing to be done. And the opportunities are equally there for everyone once they come out of their colleges. If they have got their fundamentals strong, and if they have got a capability to absorb things around or observe things around, analyze. The analytical approach is very important. Then you can shine in any field. You look at some of our sports persons, they are billionaires, and some of the artists, they are so. Similarly, some of the engineers, businessmen, above all, the people in the medical profession, starting from the nurses, doctors, and so on. So they're all committed to a particular cause, and that should be the driving force. And children should be allowed to choose rather freely. I will not say totally freely. The guidance of the parents and teachers is absolutely must. With that guidance, we will see a much brighter future.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your input, sir. The one last question what I would like to ask you, sir. The gifts and the boons with the technology the current generation has, how much more they can do, sir, which we didn't had and which you didn't have.
Well, I think I remember the days when I joined the space program. I did not have any idea what the space is about. We had only a library with some reference books, and the journals from outside come after 6 months because they'll be coming by ship and so on. But today, instead, you at the flick of a button, you can get any information which you want. Here, discerning the good and the bad, that is something which the people should do. They should be, that a lot of junk information also is floating around. So if somebody focuses on a particular line and make use of this modern means of communication and connectivity, the scope for learning is very high. I know there are online courses being offered, which in a highly specialized area. Many of the management schools are giving that. Even other day, I was seeing that some Harvard and other places, they are giving very good lectures on basic physics, science, chemistry, biology, and so on. It is so clear, you don't have to attend a college class for that. At the end of that, you take an exam. So you have a flexibility to learn. But you should use this opportunity properly.
So as you mentioned, you should use this opportunity properly. How to initiate the science and the physics into kids these days, sir?
One thing, whatever science has achieved is by deciphering the mysteries of the nature. We look around, starting from ancient rishis, they were looking at the sky and then try to understand the motion of the planets, stars, and other things, and that is one thing which emerged. Then they looked at the plants and their medicinal values, and the Ayurvedic system came up. And from there, even today, it is so. You look at any activity, what we are talking about, using a computer, etc., we are talking about artificial intelligence. There we are trying to evaluate a human brain. There is nothing beyond a human brain as well as the capability for collect the data, store, analyze, and put out. So that comes in. Similarly, you take the robbers. They take the simple mechanisms of the body, how the finger folds or how your leg muscles work and things like that. They try to emulate that. So it is studying the nature is a open book, and the opportunities are plenty. We have not understood even 10% of what happens in the universe. So the remaining is all open to you. Only thing is people have to keep their eyes and ears open. They should have a fundamental knowledge in the particular domain, and they should be willing to experiment. Don't think that whatever we know today is the end of the world. We should be able to think differently. We should look at take up the challenge and the risk of doing new things and failure. Then we will succeed.
Thank you so much, sir, for all the inputs, for all the questions you answered. And we're going to take, when we're going to document it and we're going to put that into our practice in our curriculum. And by saying this, I have our academics head, Mrs. Ramya Lingaraj, to share a few words, the academics plans, whatever we gone into it. I kindly request Mrs. Ramya to take over.
Good evening, sir. Good evening. First of all, I take this opportunity to thank Dr. Manav Nair for being here. It is a very great pleasure for us, and we are being honored actually to have you here as a guest. I mean, to inaugurate, it's a very great pleasure. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming. Thank you, sir. So I would like to introduce myself. I'm leading the academic team in Infinity Learning School, and I've completed my master's in Montessori education as well, and I have around 8 years of expertise in this field. So we go by your words, sir. Actually, whatever you mentioned earlier in your speech, we have all put that together in our curriculum. So our curriculum is based exactly as what you said. To be frank, it is 60% on the academic side, and the 40% is based on the kids' individual talents. We enhance, we find out the skills, we can identify skills of each unique kid, and then we enhance and try to develop as well. So, and the facilitators we have, our facilitators team is like they engage along with the kids learning rather than being a passive observer, a passive teacher. They are along with the kids sit and then learn, so that the kids do not feel as a learning center. They will feel as an entertaining center, and also they'll have a fun learning. And here at Infinity, we have planned that the parents, they play the vital role. Since we have planned for a very small age group of kids, the parents, they play a vital role. They are the first teachers for a kid. We believe in that. We strongly believe that always a parent at home, they will teach, they will be the first teacher for a kid. So we take all your ideas, and that is how we have framed the curriculum as well. So we find, as you said, each kid might be good at something. Not all kids can draw, not all kids can be good in sports. So we personally train, first identify what is the kid's talent, unique talent, and then we're going to train according. Not all kids are going to learn drawing, not all kids are going to go drawing, singing, etc. So it is how we frame the curriculum, and that is how. And we have planned and accordingly theme monthly based themes. That monthly based activities also will be like it was. We put social behavior first rather than academics, which is very much needed for in this current situation, I believe. So we have planned according the curriculum is framed in that way, that social behavior is good. And then next is food habits. In current scenario, I don't believe that kids take enough good food. They prefer junk foods rather always. So we have expert nutritionists who have prescribed some food charts. So we are going to provide that to the kids also, the parents also. So we are ensuring that the kid is first physically healthy, and then socially healthy also.
That's nice. I think we are in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Ramya. But before that, I would like to ask you, what is your plan of action on a particular virtual school towards the kids? What's your plan of action?
Yeah, that is what we've planned. The facilitators, they will be learning along with the kids first, so that the kid is not left alone, and the parents' supervision will also be there always. If it's a 40 minutes class or a 20 minutes class, the parents will also learn along with the kid, and the teacher will also learn. Here, it is not an old conventional method. The teacher will instruct the students and the students will listen. No, it is not like that. It's very friendly, and everybody, there is no age limit for learning. I believe in that. So, even a teacher can learn from a student. Whatever, now the kids are like, they are developed and they are at a very advanced pace. So we have to learn many things from the kids.
Right.
And
So
we've included, sorry.
yeah, you mean to say that the skill set would be improved gradually?
Yeah. The personal skills, I mean, each unique skills will be developed, will be identified, and we'll be developing that.
Right. You were about to say something, Mrs. Ramya. Sorry,
Yeah.
I interrupted
So we
you.
have, that's okay. We have also included Tirukural, Aathichudi, and brain boosters. So we give more importance of our traditional culture as well. Since it's being overseas, also worldwide, we are launching this worldwide. So the kids around the world, let them also know all this Tirukural, Aathichudi, and all cultural things.
So this I see as an innovation in our virtual school. And
That is good.
before we conclude, I kindly request. I mean, this question to Manoj, which I always wanted to ask you: what
Yeah.
is the push for you to start this initiative, the virtual school? What is the push? What is the urge for you?
Yeah, of course. I mean, majority of the answers have been already explained by Dr. Sir. But even though it's my responsibility to share all the views from what we have discussed and also how we started this venture. Basically, as Sir was earlier, I mean, telling about the stereotyping education. This was the first initiative and first the thought we just got in our mind that we need to overcome the stereotyping method of education. So there we then discussed with our team what can be done, and of course also we sat with our team and other experts and also discussed. And of course this was the right time where during this COVID situation, people were also finding very tough to get connected. And of course this was the right time where technology is also getting giving a big role for connecting people. So then we just thought of deriving this concept of running a virtual school as the same way as a physical and a standard school, how it is running, but with a few inputs of innovative concepts, thoughts, and activity based learning. And of course how we can derive, because as we all know, and in this, after this discussion, we are very concrete that every child is not equal, and every child has a different potential and different skill sets. And of course that's what the reason we started. We didn't go for an higher education concept with this virtual school. We just wanted to start it in our kindergarten level. The thing is that every kid at this age of around 2 to 3 or 2 to 5, this is the very important age period of a child, where whatever we teach them or we advise them, it goes directly into their daily routines and other things. Of course, and as we have already discussed, in this recent national education policy also, the main vision of this policy is that within this 5 years of any kid, we should not go and push any stereotypic education which might take away the kids track and other things. So these are all the things we just had in our mind. And once we have derived our concrete idea what we are going to do and how we are going to succeed it, and we found that many kids who are who are living around the globe, like US, Canada, Russia, and they are very much interested in our Indian education, because Indian education system is far ahead of its quality. So when we want to take our educational system to other nations, and this platform would be a better option. And since we are basically a technologist, so we have our own inbuilt technology platform for e-learning, virtual learning solution management platforms with us. And I just came inside, and we had my other friends who are already like Ramya and Aparna and Praveen, Kalaivani, and these are, Vijay, Geeta, Usha. These are all my friends who are already into, teaching professions in schools and colleges, and having a very good expertise in marketing and HR also. So we just wanted to make a successful, a team. And then that's where we just started this venture. And finally, when we just wanted to launch it, we just got on a single idea. Mr. Madhav Nair sir should launch it, which would be a very good motivational for our parents, teachers, students, of course, our friends, and future generations. This is what the push we had. Kaushik.
Thank you, Mr. Manoj. We can't find a better person to launch, because he has launched 25 successful missions, and he's just sitting that I didn't do anything. Still a lot more there I have to pass on to the next generation. That's something we all should learn, the simplicity and the humbleness and the down-to-earth nature from Dr. Sir. So on this note, we all the three will ask you, we need your blessings, and thank you, please bless us. And I kindly request Mrs. Aparna Praveen to conclude with a vote of thanks.
On behalf of Team Infinity, we would like to thank our friends, family, students, parents, and especially our Excellency Honorable Chief Guest Padma Vibhushan Dr. G. Madhavan Nair, former Chairman ISRO, for his valuable time and wonderful speech. We appreciate it, sir. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation for Manoj, our technical leader, for his explanation, and Ramya, our academic head, for her expertise. I may like to express our sincere thanks to PJ Kaushik for giving an excellent coverage. Last but not least, we would like to thank our wonderful audience who had made this launch a grand success, and request you all to follow the below link. Thank you.